Hello and welcome back to the Netball Nation podcast, now powered by Netball UK. Just when you thought that we were no more, we have risen from the ashes to bring you all things netball for another season. And of course, that would not be possible without the dream team of Mags and Sara.
Hey, Sara, give me some.
High fiving.
Elbows.
I know where she's been, it's fine.
Welcome back, both of you. Now, before we crack on, Sara, tell us in a nutshell what you've been up to. Really quickly.
It's so long since we saw each other, isn't it? Nutshell.
It's been like 6 months. Oh, I'll tell you what, tell us one really good thing that you've done. Should we go to Mags first?
Yeah, go to Mags first.
What have I done? I have made my daughter exceptionally happy. I'm going to be a grandma apparently, but I've told her I don't want to be grandma. I want to be called Maggie, and don't get excited, everybody. It's a fur baby.
Yeah,
it's a fur baby.
No, that's reason to be excited. Does the fur baby have a name?
He is called Hugo.
It's very
Hugo.
Posh, Mags.
Yeah. Child trick.
Is he going to have a cravat?
It will do. If I'd have picked, it'd been Cedric or something like that.
So Mags is now grandmother to a fur baby that we hope is going to visit us here at Netball Nation.
Absolutely.
What about you, Sara? Wedding updates. Have we got any wedding updates? I know you're all waiting for that.
Yeah, I mean, the wedding's sorted. Like I said, I think it was sorted about 6 months ago, but now, like, notice of marriage done, it's happening, it's going to be legal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No cold feet.
No, not yet.
I love that. We'll check in again next week. And of course, Netball Nation round 2 would not be possible without the one and only Debbie Hallas, owner of the podcast's new sponsor, Netball UK, and managing director of Superleague side Manchester Thunder. Round of applause.
Yeah, Deb.
Thank you so much. Now, genuinely, we would not be able to bring you this season of Netball Nation without you, Debbie. So first and foremost, thank you so much. And how exciting for you is it to be a part of Netball Nation?
Oh, absolutely loving it so far. I mean, obviously, I know Bayman and Maggie. I've known them for years. But yeah, just so excited that it's back. I've really missed it. I was probably a number one fan. I used to take my dog for a walk, put my earphones in, get the podcast going, and just loved it. It was just such a professional production. Listening to all the banter and just honest conversation. It wasn't stale. It was always people give their honest opinions, and that's what I loved about it.
Honest conversation. I don't know what you mean. These pair always sit on the fence. Now then, Debbie, you've been director of netball at Thunder for some time now and saw them win their 3rd Super League title last season. What are the biggest challenges? Deep breath.
Where do I start? Probably financially for us. We're probably the only independent franchise out there now. So yeah, money has always been a challenge, and we've had to break even. Otherwise, obviously, we wouldn't exist. So that for us is a very big challenge. Obviously, we had the investment in the summer, which is much needed because I think we needed that to take us forward from where netball's going now. I'm not sure Manchester Thunder would have existed much further without that investment. So, netball's getting to that level now where it needs that. We need to push on.
And what have been the highlights for you?
Winning 3 Super League
titles.
Yes,
Gotta be. Now then, before we crack on, the word that everyone's talking about, the thing that everyone's talking about at the minute, coronavirus. Do we know, Debbie, if it's going to affect netball, any of the games that are going to be played, and what impact that might have?
At the moment, games are going ahead as scheduled. That's the advice. But obviously, everything's ongoing. So nothing, we're taking advice from, obviously, the government, from the league at the moment. So we're taking each day as it comes at the moment until we're told we can't play. We will be going ahead. Now, obviously, there's quite a significant impact in that for all teams. If we had to either play behind closed doors or call the games off, we would lose a lot of revenue. And I would assume the majority of teams, I know for us in particular, revenue from ticketing it's our biggest stream. So to lose that would be pretty significant for us and everybody else. So and the ruling at the moment as well is that if you get 3 or more players, whether that be registered or training partners that are affected, whether they actually have the virus or they have in quarantine, then a fixture can be cancelled. But obviously, touch wood, nobody at the moment within the Netball Super League has been affected.
And we will keep you up to date on that across all our socials as well at My Netball Nation. We'll keep you up to date at all times. Right then, exciting news. To mark the start of Netball UK powering Netball Nation, we're offering Netball Nation listeners and viewers up there 10% off everything. Just use code NATION10 at netballuk.co.uk before Friday the 20th of March, and you can see all the terms and conditions at www.mynetballnation.com. Now, Debbie, this is amazing. Nation10, by the way, that code. What can we find in Netball UK?
Well, anything to do with netball, basically. Our main line is netball trainers, which are obviously an important part for everybody in playing the game. It helps you, it helps avoid an injury, and it also makes you more efficient in your game as well. So what more can you ask for? But yeah,
well, 10% off.
Yeah, we go.
And as you can see, I'm modelling one of Debbie's items here, purchased recently, if anybody's interested.
Do you know what I love? This is the first season where, well, it's the second season, but it's the first time that we've all been on camera. So we're all really conscious of where all the cameras are. If we look awkward at any moment, that's why. I'm sure we'll get into this as the season goes on. Right then, into very important stuff. Have you all caught your breath after the 3 opening rounds of Super League fixtures?
No.
No? I think we can all agree on that. Right, we're going to have a go whizzing through the main talking points from Pulse's unbeaten start, some amazing comeback wins. Sorry, Sara. And a sending off that's got everybody talking. Now, Oldham Netball won their 8th national title in 9 years at the weekend with a round to spare.
I don't care if she's paying. Get her out of that door.
Why are they so dominant, and who could possibly top them next season? Suncorp's Super Netball pre-season games are in full swing, as are the ANZ warm-up matches. So who is looking strong? Who is strengthened in the off-season, and what are the main talking points? Strap yourselves in, everybody. We've got a lot to get through, so let's get going. Right then, and breathe, Emma. Super League season then, with so many talking points from the first 3 rounds of the Super League, it's hard to know where to start. So shall we go from the very beginning? We had the opening weekend. All 10 teams played in 5 games, one after the other. Packed out crowd in Birmingham and a brilliant showcase for the sport. Sara, now as a coach involved in the day, by the way, I absolutely love that even though Netball Nation hasn't been in existence for like 6 months, those gifts haven't stopped. We've still seen loads of gifts.
It's like the gift that keeps giving.
It is. Yeah, you've been waiting a long time to say that. No, but as a
Dad
coach,
jokes for free. Yeah.
We love it. As a coach that's involved in the day, is it something that you'd like to see again?
Yeah, I think it's a great day. I did get told off for giving my views on the 19th round generally, so we won't go into that again. But
who told you off?
The league.
Was that because they felt you were too vocal and opinionated on it?
I think they didn't like my opinion on it, so.
But it's not changed your opinion.
But it's not changed.
Yeah.
So there we go. But the day itself, I think, is great, and I think it's built each year. It's been done, and now I think it's kind of a staple in people's netball calendar. Like, let's go to Super 10. Next year, pros is a bit of a problem because you've got 11 teams, so obviously all teams can't play on that day. But it's also nice for teams to be in one place at the beginning of the season because everyone kind of gets to, interact and hang out a little bit and see each other play and
scope
each other out. And it's nice that it's in a big arena. So yeah, it was a really good day.
And Debbie, as a franchise director, how does an event like the opening weekend affect your planning for the season, or was it business as usual for you?
Yeah, I mean, it looked different this year, and obviously there is the controversy about what that 19th game means. It's a great opening event, and I think it probably needs to just mean something different.
What does it need to mean?
I mean, whether it's some kind of pre-season tour, well, not pre-season, it's like an opening event, but it doesn't count in points towards the league. Mm-hmm. I think what they wanted to do, or what the league wanted to do, is they didn't want to take a home game off anybody, because obviously, like we were saying previously, ticketing revenue is very important for people, but obviously previously people have lost a home game because they've had to play it at the season opener. So what they're trying to do is keep bringing more revenue into the game, which is great and what we need. But from a performance perspective, then, you look at the fixtures that match up, and it's not. I don't know any other league that would run something that has that extra game that means something like that. And I think I think we're going the right way in that it's separate to everybody's home and away games, but it's what that looks like. And, you know, I think we can still make it work in some way. And we'll look at, I think, you know, as Super League franchises and the board, we're perhaps looking at something different. What that will look like, we don't know yet. But I think it needs to sit outside the regular season.
I was just about to ask you what that'll look like. You answered my question before I got there. Right then, let's move on and look at the current table after 3 rounds. And I'm sure seeing Poole sitting joint top with Manchester Thunder and Team Bath is not what some of us expected after their struggles in 2019. This young Poole side have won more games in 3 rounds than the whole of last season. No mean feat, that is. It's incredible. They thrashed Dragons on Monday night by more than 30 goals and showed great character in their wins over Surrey Storm and Strathclyde Sirens. So, Mags, what have Poole's done to see such a dramatic change in their form? And is it sustainable, more importantly?
What have they done? They've changed the team.
Got a new team.
Basically, they've got a new team. You know, last season they picked up what was left.
Yeah.
Because they came into the league kind of late, really, to make a play for any of the other players that were already within the Super League. And they have some fabulous, exciting young players that previewed last year. This season, they have brought themselves in some experience, people who can be those leaders on court, and those leaders are stepping up. The likes of Ziggy Berger, let's be right, she has made a massive, massive difference for that team. And with Thomas playing at wing attack, I mean, she's like it's witchcraft with the ball. You never quite know where it's going to go, but it always ends up in Ziggy Berger's hands. So, you know, they've made some serious signings and they've been effective and they've had a fabulous start.
And with it being such a refreshed and revamped team, is this sustainable then, do you think?
Well, that remains to be seen because without being disrespectful to the fabulous start that they've had, the 3 games that they've played have been against teams that would or have been historically in the bottom end of the table. They've got 2 big tests coming up in the next 2 weeks, you know, where they've got Bath and they've got Wasps to play. So shall we have this conversation again after they've played those 2 teams?
I think what you can't underestimate, though, is the momentum that they'll take. Like, getting 3 wins to start your season is a huge boost. So you go into a game against Bath kind of almost expecting to win because that's what you've been doing, even though it's Bath. Yeah. So I think the fixtures have fallen kindly for them at the beginning of the season, but they will take a huge amount of confidence and momentum into these tougher games now, and they could do it against one of those teams. I think they were smart in picking up some experienced players as well, in
definitely.
terms of like Lindsay Keeble, Michelle Drain went over from Mavericks, and you can't kind of underestimate the quality that they can bring from having played in the Super League for a number of years. It's hard to have youngsters throughout and without inserting a bit of experience. So yeah, they've got some superstars in terms of Siggy Berger or Dean Thomas, who are like international quality players. But I think getting the experience in from who've played Super League before is important as well.
It's important, though, you mentioned the momentum, but it's important that even if they do lose, hypothetically, against Bath, they don't let that go, that it isn't just...
I mean, they can let it go if they want. I'm not fussed. I'm not fussed if they let it go. They can unravel if they want to, feel free.
Well, we want to talk to you, Sara, because it's been a tough start for Lightning. Swallow. Yeah. 1 win from there. You have a young side. You've thrown in some inexperienced players earlier than you might have liked due to injuries to Natalie Panagari and others. What's your main take on Lightning's start to the season, and also how's Nat doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough start. We played horribly opening weekend, and we were disappointed with that. You know, we lost Nat Panagari first quarter, and it does have an impact. But I think at the end of the game, I was just disappointed that we didn't control what we could control against Bath. You know, Bath played well, but we allowed them to as well. And then, like you said, we've got a lot of youngsters in there, and the aim at the beginning of the season was to kind of insert those youngsters like surrounded by experience, and now that experience is mostly injured. So actually, you know, it's an opportunity as well. Like these youngsters aren't like, you know, they've just come like from school netball. Like, they're England under 21s, England under 19s. They're really, really exciting. And so actually, like, if you're good enough, get out there and play. Like, take the opportunity, get out there, play in the top level that you can. And they're doing really well. Like,
I was going to ask you that. How are they coping with the pressure of that?
I mean, they're doing well. I think, you know, I obviously don't want to talk about the Thunder game, but we're going to have to.
Yes, please do. We'll say it really quickly.
It's about the first day I started holding. I was going to swear then, holding it together. But I mean, I think you saw in the Thunder game, like there's a lack of experience. Like a team like Thunder starts coming back at you, and there's a loud crowd, and there's a feeling of pressure. And whether you're under pressure or you're not, if you feel under pressure, the response can often be the same. And I think when you've got 3, 4, 18 or 19-year-olds out there in that scenario, you kind of need someone who just takes control of it, grabs it, and just goes, look, girls, we're okay. And we didn't really have that, and that's that kind of showed. But at the same time, we've had a really good training week since then. Talked a lot about it in terms of what a lesson that could be at the beginning of a season, where these girls are going to play a lot throughout the season. If you learn from that lesson now, it could be scary by the end of the season what you could be capable of.
Exactly that.
And I fully concur with what Sara's saying there, because when we were Yorkshire Jets, that is exactly what we had. England standing under 19s and under 21s who came up against experience all the time. And they used that opportunity to get out there and play the game because they were experienced within their own age group and were individually and collectively awesome players. But they continually felt the pressure of the senior players. But they did. They played well. Opportunity. Yeah. And look where they are now.
It can be character building, can't it?
Yeah. And I think Sara and I had a conversation on Saturday at Karen Gregg's 40th over a couple of beers. But, I said, Sara, fair play to her. All the Thunder players were there, and Sara turned up after that. And, we had a chat, and for 3 quarters, Lightning were better than us. And, you've a lot to take from that. You had a lot of young players on court, and we weren't good enough for 3 quarters. Fortunately, we had that experience and, that strength in depth to come back in the last quarter. But, there's so much you can take from that. And, and a fairly new team put together, the youngsters thrown in, and, it can only bode well for the future.
Yeah, definitely. Right, Sara, I'm going to invite you to
move on.
Shut your ears. Shut your ears for one more moment, because I'm just going to ask Debbie another question. Is that all right?
Go on.
Remember, there's cameras here. Don't swear.
Can you put that supermarket music in her headphones?
Because for anyone who isn't aware, if you've been living under a rock, Loughborough were 12 goals up in the second half, but Thunder roared back to outscore them 21-9 in the final quarter and take the win. Debbie, she's got oh no, she's giving me the glare. How important was that win for you?
Yeah, very important.
Record crowd, I mean.
Yeah, in front of a record crowd. It's the first time we've sold out Bellevue, and we had pretty much 2,000 people there. And for us, I mean, to be honest, it couldn't have gone better. And even, Saturday night, our captain Emma Dover came to me and she said, Debbie, we actually did that for you. It was all planned, and we did it for you so that the crowd are excited and they'll come back next game. I was like, really, Emma? Okay.
Well, we shall wait and see, but congratulations. Now, Mags, looking at the rest of the table with Team Bath and Mavericks starting strongly and Wasps already suffering 2 defeats, what are your highlights of the season so far?
Ooh, I think my number one highlight has to be Alice Harvey.
Thanks, Mags.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just fabulous to watch her. She's 18 years old. She's one of our girls from Yorkshire, and Sara's playing her, and she's getting that exposure at top flight netball. So big up to Sara and Loughborough Lightning, and the best of luck to Alice as she goes through. Funme. Is it Funme? Fumi. Do apologise the pronunciation. What a girl. That game that she played, she was, I think, the reason why they turned it around.
Storm.
What was it, 3, 4, 5 turnovers? Athleticism like you wouldn't believe. And I think she's going to come on fabulously, because within that camp is, for me, what I thought of her time, the best wing defence that used to be in the world, with Fiona Murta, who's now on the coaching team at Pulse. She's just sensational. And what else? Oh, and also the fact that now that we're down to 10 players on the bench, it's fabulous to see the coaches actually using their bench tactically, and everybody's getting on and everybody's making an impact and doing a good job. So that's it for me at the moment.
A lot of positivity there, Mags. I like your highlights. Yeah. Now, Sara, Lightning host Mavericks on Monday in the big TV game of round 4. How are you feeling ahead of that?
I feel like there's some
loaded
questions being thrown here.
Can you give us something light-hearted to talk about?
Jeez, let's go back to coronavirus.
You did say though, Sara, that actually, the lessons that they've learned could mean that they go on to do great things.
Monday's exciting for us in terms of, it's a TV game, it's at home, it's against Mavericks, and actually, it couldn't come at a better time because we had that tough Thunder loss. We've had a decent amount of time in terms of like a 10-day turnaround. And now we've got another tough game. So there's no sort of like wallowing and feeling sorry for yourself. It's actually like, right, get up, get on with it because Mavericks are going to come and they're in good form. And so, getting a result against Mavericks would be huge for us. But that's what you go out to do. Like, you don't go into games going,
might lose this one.
Be great if we won a quarter. No, like the aim is to beat them. So I think it has been a positive week, and we're excited because we match up pretty well against Mavericks usually. So we'll see what we can do.
Well, if you turn up for Netball Nation next week, we know it's gone well. There we go. Now, Debbie, Thunder travel to Surrey Storm, whose form's been a little indifferent, and they seem to be missing shooter Siggy Berger. What are you expecting from that game?
Well, hopefully a win. But, no game is easy and quite often it can depend on the matchups between teams on how you do. And, sometimes you can have kind of bogey teams that you don't always do as well against. But, yeah, I think Siggy Berger is a significant loss for them. So, yeah, I'm hoping to come away with, hopefully can build up a bit of goal difference.
Do you know what? I'm enjoying this, Mags. The first episode of season 2 when we're putting the spotlight on people. This is good. Now then, can we talk about Latanya Wilson for a second? She shone in her Superleague debut in the opening round and hasn't been out of the headlines since. So, in case you're unaware, the Jamaican defender was sent off in Dragons match against Team Bath. It left Abby Tyrrell in the defensive circle alone for more than a quarter. Now, as a result of the sending off, Wilson was banned from playing in the third round loss to Pulse. Now, don't jump all in at once here, ladies, but I'll go to you first, Mags. What do you make of that?
Well, number one, I think she's amazing. Mm-hmm. I absolutely think she's exciting. She's like the new Shamira for me. She's ball hungry, and I'm bound to be biased because I'm a circle defender. Did she deserve to be sent off? In the eyes of the umpires, yeah. I've spoken to eminent people who umpire that I have a lot of respect for, and they assure me that the decisions that were made were correct. For me, we wouldn't want anybody to be injured unduly, and I don't think any of her contacts were intentional. The obstruction, yeah, that looked like it was, but the actual contacts, I don't think for 1 minute she went out with any intent to injure anybody. She has her eyes on the ball. We've all seen her play. She's just all over the place stealing balls for fun. So yeah, the decision was right. What maybe should have happened when she had been sent off should have been she stayed off and sat down on the bench and another defender brought on.
Did Dragons have another defender on the bench?
They must have had one.
Well,
they must have, because so did I'm just trying to think
the
who
other
they played.
defender was away playing for the Army in the Isle of Man.
Oh, that's what was said, wasn't it?
But
still, you've got to shuffle your pack. You shuffle your pack because this is the consequence of not shuffling your pack. She misses a game and, they lose.
On that though, Sara, do you think are the rules a bit too harsh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, you've lost them that game because she's been sent off, which is fair enough. You get sent off, you lose the game because you're never going to win a game without a goalkeeper. That's fine. But now you've basically lost them the next game because she's not allowed to play. So she gets punished by getting sent off, and then she loses the game. So that's kind of double punishment. And then you go, oh, to add to that, you're now banned for the next game. To me, that's just overkill. Like, you've sent her off, like they've lost a game. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand there needs to be, some deterrence from that happening, but for one sending off that you then miss a game, I think is a bit much, because you go in, all right, there's 10 in your squad, so you cut your squad size down to 10, so now you're 10% down because you're a player down.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
It does seem a little bit rough, doesn't it, really?
If they're saying that they are contacts that were non-intentional, because we've all seen the ones that are intentional, then Sarah's probably right. She's been sent off, the game's lost. The additional penalty, maybe that needs looking at.
Well, the thing is, if someone turned around and punched someone and got sent off for it,
intentional,
it's a little bit different. But someone might get sent off for persistent offside, something ridiculous like that, and then you're saying to me that running in the circle as a centre, you continue to do it, you get sent off, and then the next game you're banned. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't-
triple whammy.
yeah,
Well,
I don't
feel
get
free
it.
to have your say. Do you think the rules are too harsh? You can get in touch with us on all the socials at My Netball Nation and have your say. Now then, guys, we are going to reopen that kitty. Not that I ever saw any of the money in it anyway. I just
Virtual
like to
kitty,
point out.
virtual.
Yeah, for anyone watching this, Mags and Sara, they'd basically put enough in that to give us a night out that never happened. So I'm not forgetting about that, guys. Right, and Debs, you're opening the wallet as well on this one because I'm going to get your predictions for round 4 of the Super League. Are we ready?
Yes.
Right, Sara, you first. Stars versus Wasps.
I've been quite impressed with some of the stuff that Stars have been doing, but I think Wasps will still win that.
You going for Wasps, Max?
I have to agree.
Debbie?
Wasps, yes.
Right, you're all saying Wasps. Storm versus Thunder. Sara.
Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah. Lightning versus Mavericks. Sara.
Lightning, obviously.
Ovs. Lightning.
Max, why'd you look a bit scared?
She's within reach. Have you seen the length of her arms?
And what about you, Debbie? Oh, you're on the other side of the desk.
Yeah, I'm not within reach. I don't. It's a really tough one to call.
We like honesty here on Netball Nation. That's what you said it was all about, so be honest.
I know, and I think the way Lightning played on for 3 quarters, if they can maintain that, then they've a very good chance of winning. And I think they're at home; they've got a home crowd. Mavericks, I mean, on paper they've got such a great team, but I don't think they always live up to that potential.
So you're going Lightning?
Let's go Lightning.
Oh, hey, you've all agreed so far. Let's see this then. Dragons versus Sirens.
This is a tough one. I think I'm going to go Dragons because
Go on.
I think if Wilson's back for this game, then
Read my mind.
I think they'll probably have too much defensively for Sirens' attack end.
Do I not need to ask you then, Mags?
I was
Are
going
you
to say
just-
exactly the same thing because it's the kind of game that plays into Wilson's hands. You know, the Sirens attack are quick, they're fast, they're on the move, and that's Wilson's game. She'll just be all over it. So, yeah.
And Debbie, do you agree or?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely with Wilson in there. I mean, I think Sirens have done really well. I think they pushed Lightning really, really far in the last game. They were ahead, and obviously Lightning came back at them. And their shooting circle seemed to really improve the last game or so. The percentages are getting a lot higher, but with Wilson in there, yeah, I think we have to go and back my 2 girls, Amy and Abby, that are playing.
Well, let's see if any of you disagree in the final one then. Team Bath versus Pulse.
I think Bath are playing really well. I can't see them losing that, to be honest.
Okay, so you're going Team Bath.
We've already talked about the momentum of winning. So, Bath.
And what
Yeah,
about?
completely agree.
Wow, you are all in agreement. Well, we should
Probably all wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If we're all wrong, do we not have to bother putting the money in?
You absolutely do. The kitty's either going to be really full or completely empty, isn't it? Right then, next up, it's national clubs. Now, Oldham Netball have done it again. For the 4th season in succession, the North West Based Club have been crowned Premier 1 champions. So, Debbie, you're also heavily involved with Oldham. What is it about the club that's made it so dominant over the last decade?
It's the legacy really of our coach that set it all up, who's Mike Greenwood, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But he, I spent a lot of years with Mike as a player, and learning from him, and he also passed all of his knowledge on in the end to Pam Hazelton, who leads the club, and the coaches that sit underneath that as well. I work with Susie at the seniors, Jackie Reid as well, and we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, and we just work really well together. And we know what the legacy is about, and we keep it going, and we also keep it moving on. So
it just goes to show, doesn't it, how important that, like you say, all singing from the same hymn sheet and also understanding moving forward what needs to happen and being in agreement on that. It's crucial, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and we share the same ethos. It is all about your ethos, and you've got to believe in each other and what you're doing, and and working hard, and that's what we do. It works for us.
Well, it certainly is working. Now, Mags, Leeds Athletic had a mixed bag of a season this time round. Why was that?
For the last couple of years, if we're being completely honest, we've been struggling with Prem 1 and managing just by the skin of our teeth to sort of stay within Prem 1. A lot of that is affected by the fact that we didn't have a Super League franchise. We don't attract all the girls that we would like to attract to our particular region. That said, we have the Super League starting next year, and we know that we've already had interest from people. And so once we can get some, what I call proper seniors, playing the senior competition, that'll be fabulous. On the other side of the coin, opportunities have arisen for our 17, 18, 19-year-olds who have been able to play that competition. And that's been the top flight netball for them this season. So it's just been a winner all round.
Just a question for both of you. Do you think Prem is doing its job at the minute?
No, because I just listened to the girls talking about being dragged and ragged from one end of the country to the other. When I think it should be looked at. I mean, I don't think the format of it's been looked at for quite some time. And maybe, like we did before, regional competitions, and then the better ones come together from that. Maybe that would be a better way of looking at it.
What are your thoughts on that as well, Debbie?
Yeah, I mean, we get asked to feed back, but whatever we feed back, nothing ever kind of seems to be done. I think we need to work out what Premier League is for and where it sits. I think the pathway does need a review. I think there are some very good things about Premier League, that it's given opportunities. I know from my point of view, coaching at Oldham, it's given a lot of youngsters opportunities that are not quite in Super League, and they're probably in the like our Thunder pathway, and it's given them great opportunities to play against at a high level. But then there's a crossover between, and it hasn't been that bad this season because Super League has started later, but there's a big crossover, and it affects a lot of teams because Super League players like to either play it as getting ready for Super League. It's given them match play before they're coming up to Super League, and they just love playing netball. So they don't want to just play for 3 months of the year in Super League. They want to play more netball, which is great. But then a lot of teams will lose those key players when it gets later in the season, and they go playing for the Super League franchises. But that gives opportunities for youngsters. So in the first instance, the youngsters get to play with Super League level players, which is great, and that improves their standard. But not all clubs are kind of set up for that, and that's one reason we do so well, is that we've got a constant stream of youngsters coming through from our junior club.
It's like the Thunder Factory.
Yeah.
For every position, they've probably got 10 people sat waiting that can backfill dead easily.
But you said, Mags, you think it maybe needs a review because it's not been reviewed for a while. What does that look like? How do you see that changing and being more beneficial for them?
Hey, she's going to get consultant fees. She can't tell them for free.
Well,
we'll pay you out the kitty.
Do you know what? Go. Regardless of what any of us say, I'll come up with something that I think would be suitable for us, but it might not suit Sara's group, it might not suit Debbie's. There's been discussion in the past, do they make it a competition just between September and December? So then that's all over and done with in that 3-4 month period, so that everybody can then concentrate on Super League. I don't know what the best fix is, but I think it needs looking at and it needs changing.
Right. Well, we can't let the podcast go by without congratulating you, Mags, for being named assistant coach of Leeds Rhinos ahead of their Super League debut next season. You're going to be working alongside head coach Dan Ryan in the role.
Well done, Mags.
Mags. I'm sure you're clapping at home as well. Congratulations,
Thank
Mags.
you.
Are you excited?
Beyond words. Beyond words, yeah.
Well,
brace yourself, Mags.
I said to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this again.
Stock up on wine. You love it.
Oh, is that for my mental health or because I'm with Dan?
He'll drink all your wine.
We're very excited, and
Thank
congratulations once again. Sara, having Mags on board, does it make you more excited to see Leeds in the Super League? Be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see Mags on board, and I think the North needed more representation. You can't just have one team in the north of the country and think that that's going to be okay for pathway development. So it's nice to see Leeds back in there, and it is exciting. So. I'm getting through this season. I'm not worried about next season, but yeah, it's really good.
It certainly is exciting. And Mags, for you, what is your main thing that you want to fulfil in this role?
I think it's a case of we're definitely here to play. We're not here to make numbers up. And I know we've already given England netball a bit of a headache with that opening weekend because 10 teams works perfectly, 11 doesn't. So we'll see what happens there. It's to try and build a brand that we can all be proud of. Build a brand that players want to be part of, And, not saying too much because obviously I've got 2 different franchises here. These girls don't just come out of the bushes and you just make them into netballers. We're having to build a team from scratch and we have to get them from the league as it is.
Wow, well, best of luck to you, Mags. Yeah, you do need that wine. Right, to wrap this section up, we'll finish with a shout out to Lucy at Felsted School, who's written into the show. So thank you, Lucy, for writing to us. They're celebrating reaching the school nationals with the under-19 team, which takes place in Stanborough on Saturday. Their coach is London Pulse defender Lindsay Keeble. Good luck to Felsted and everyone taking part. Best of luck from us here at Netball Nation. Now, next up, we are heading south. Pre-season games have been in full swing down under for a number of weeks ahead of the new season, with ANZ Premiership this Sunday, 15th of March, and Super Netball beginning on the 27th of March. Now, among those games was the bushfire relief game in Sydney, which saw a Super Netball all-star team take on Australia Diamonds to raise money for those affected by the bushfires. Now, the game raised thousands for charity. And Sara, did you watch the game?
It was 4 a.m. No.
I need my
Are
sleep.
they suggesting you don't have a life?
I don't have a life, but I didn't watch the game. I did catch up on it afterwards. And I mean, the game was great. There's lots of obviously huge names of netball. Also, shout out to Kelsey Brown for singing, because that was so good. And I mean, everyone knows she can sing and play the guitar and the piano, and she's like annoyingly talented.
Yeah.
But that was great also.
How important are those kinds of games when they're to raise money for something like that?
Hugely important. And I suppose you've got to ask yourself, there are so many good causes and issues that come to the forefront. Where do you start? How do you decide which one you do it for? But I think it was appropriate that they did that. And I wasn't lucky enough to see the game, but I did catch the highlights. And one thing I did spot from watching those highlights was, even though the game was played and, contested, every single player smiled throughout the whole game. And, the atmosphere was palpable. You could feel it even just watching it on the television. So good work and well done.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, Debbie, with games like that, the result doesn't really matter, does it?
No, I mean, they're always going to be a bit competitive, but I think there were that many changes within the game as well. It's difficult for any team to get any flow. And obviously the Diamonds are training together a lot more regularly. The other team are kind of put together, but what a game for the profile of netball.
Yeah, certainly. And like we say, it raised thousands as well for bushfire relief. So well done to everyone that was a part of that. Now, looking at pre-season results, it's been a pretty mixed bag. So have you seen any of the games, ladies, or spotted a result that surprised you? Any of you?
Well, I mean, obviously, I've got to keep up with Fever because of Stacey. So, Fever beat Giants, and they had some good run-outs against Sunshine Coast Lightning as well. So I think they're going pretty well. But I always find with pre-season, here to an extent, but especially Australia, it never really predicts anything.
Yeah.
Like, you get into season and it completely changes. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the same.
It certainly will. We'll keep you posted on everything. Can Swifts defend their title, Mags?
Oh, crikey. Got the million
pressure.
$1 million question.
We've put these two under the spotlight, so it's your turn now.
$1 million question, can they? Yeah, I suppose they can do, but there's just such quality across every single team. And if we go on performances last season, Lightning did exceptionally well, just losing out. They lost out big in the actual final. Can they do it without Nolene? I think that they still might be the team to watch.
Really? We'll wait and see. Sara, how much will Collingwood Magpies miss Ash Brazel, who suffered a serious knee injury playing an Aussie Rules football charity game?
Massive. Ash Brazel, she had such a great season last year. She was immense for Collingwood, and I think they've just been hit hard this year. Kimmy Rav got pregnant, April Branley's pregnant.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's really good news.
Yeah.
Both the Brown sisters, long-term injuries, coming back from long-term injuries. Now Ash Braz has done her ACL. It's like, I don't want to call it a curse for Collingwood, but it's some seriously bad luck for them, and I don't think they'll be able to challenge with that many people out.
It's a shame, isn't it? But like we say, congratulations to those who are expecting children.
And congratulations to Ash Braz. They just had a baby recently.
Oh,
so at least that's going to cheer you up during rehab.
Lots of netball babies. Any other talking points as well from the pre-season that you'd like to discuss, guys?
I don't think there's anything else.
I think the only other thing was the 2-point shot and the rolling subs, isn't it? So that's so in Sun Cup, they've introduced rolling subs for this season, so you don't have to kind of call time or anything. It's a bit like Fast 5, rolling subs. And then in the Bushfire game, they trialled 2-point shot. So I think that's kind of caused a bit of a stir down under.
A positive or a negative stir?
I think it's a bit mixed, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on people's views on it.
For me, I don't want to see it in our game because we've got fast buy for that. Personally.
What about you, Sara? You agree with that, do you, Debbie? Yeah. You don't want to see it. Sara, do you think there's any benefit to it?
No.
Okay, well, we're all agreed here. Again, as
no,
always.
I can see the point of view in terms of, netball needs to develop and it needs to be open to change, but you're getting dangerously close to basketball for my liking.
Okay, well, get in touch at My Netball Nation on all the socials if you dare to disagree with any of the girls in the studio. Now, Pool's coach, Yvette McCausland-Jury, says she wants to do things differently this season so that her side can defend their 2019 title. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, it's hard because when leagues are so competitive, if you remain at the same standard, even if you won it, you're probably not going to win it again. So I think she's realistic in terms of that they will need to improve if they want to win it again, because everyone around them's improving. I've obviously got a soft spot for Pulse because I played for them, but they have like very strong links with Tijuana and Godorokoro, so they're like heavy on the sort of like Maori culture, and that was a big part of their season last year. And actually seeing teams kind of do things a little bit differently off court as well is quite nice sometimes, because netball is netball, and how do you distinguish your team? Is
there not an argument for don't change a winning formula?
I don't think you can stand still in the game at the moment because everybody is up in their game. Those small margins, those small percentages are paying off for them. So I think she needs to do what she did last year because it was a winning formula, but a little bit of magic sprinkled on the top.
And they've changed a couple of players, like Sulu Fitzpatrick has gone back to Auckland, Whitney Souness has gone to Magic, so it's not exactly the same team for Pulse. So actually, you've got different players. It will look and feel a bit different, and that's kind of natural.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
And we're saying, right, finally, before we wrap up this week's podcast and have a lie down, once again, there's a number of former Super League players set to take the court in 2020 in ANZ and Super Netball, including England Roses, Nat Haythornthwaite, Helen Houseby, Chelsea Pittman, Stacey Francis, Jiva Mentor and Layla Gusketh. I'll go to you first, Sara. Who are you expecting to see shine in this? No pressure.
Again with the loaded question. I'm excited to see Layla Gusketh come back because she tore her Achilles at World Cup. That is a long-term recovery, and I've seen she's now been running and doing a little bit of change direction. So it's really exciting that she's going to be back, and wish her the best. And obviously, always excited to see Stacey play.
I was going to say, I honestly thought you were going to just bypass Stacey. Then I was like, you can't do that.
No, I am obviously really excited for that. But it's just nice to see English players go out there and really succeed. And there was, I think previously a few years ago, there was probably a little bit of reluctance from Australian teams to take imports, and the impact that those players are now having, they're worth the weight in gold.
Absolutely. Any players that you'll be keeping an eye on, Mags?
Oh, absolutely, all of them. But as Sara said about our own homegrown girls, I hope they go really well, have a great season, and don't get injured. And also a big shout out to Beth Cobden, because I believe she's back on. She's a training partner, and I'm just delighted to see that she's back on the court.
Lovely.
She's been missed.
Right, well, finally, this is actually finally now, guys. Let's have it because we all love a prediction. Who is going to win the Super Netball and the ANZ Premiership?
Oh, wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
You didn't even give us a warning on this one.
Hey, that's how we're rolling in season 2.
Right. I think Pulse might win it again, the ANZ.
You're going Pulse?
Yeah, I just think they've got so much quality with Amelia Anacasio and Katrina Rory and people like that they could go back to back. The Suncorp is so hard to call, isn't it? So hard to call. I don't know. Come back to me on that.
We will. We'll come back to you next week.
You're going to say fever.
You can have a week to think about. I know. I passed. What about you, Mags?
I'm going to go Pulse as well, because I think even with the changes, they're too strong. Mm-hmm. And I've already put my hat on Lightning. I'm going to give them a shout, Lightning.
Nice. Right. What about you, Debbie?
I think Pulse in ANZ, but I think Swifts again.
You do, right? Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, guys. How are we all feeling after that? feel like we put you through the mill there for
I
the
feel
first
great.
episode, didn't
How
we?
long we've been here? It's a long one.
We had a lot of catching up to do, Mags, didn't
Absolutely, we did.
Now, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Hello on YouTube. Thank you for joining us.
I was just like, who are you looking
at? Thank you very much. And like I say, sorry if we have been sat awkwardly. We've been very aware of cameras in the studio today, but we will bed in and make sure we're more relaxed by next week. As ever, if you, our Netball Nation family, have any questions, please do tweet us at MyNetballNation or drop us an email, hello@mynetballnation.com, and we will do our absolute best to cover these in the next episode. That is your lot for this week. Thank you so much for listening to Netball Nation, powered, of course, by Netball UK. To listen to our podcast, head over to mynetballnation.com and follow us on all the social platforms at MyNetballNation. Also, don't forget to head over to the Netball UK website and use the code NATION10 for 10% off everything before next Friday. Terms and conditions are online at mynetballnation.com. Thank you so much for that, guys. See you next week.
See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.